Hello, I'm TurbulentTy, and welcome to a Turbulent Guide. Today I'll be going over the Let's Do Farm and Charm mod. And this one's going to be one that adds a few new vegetables and plants and flowers, as you can kind of see, and it also adds a few other interesting ways to, well, farm, and a few recipes as well, and we'll kind of go through all that here. I'm going to start off with the crops. First off, we have wild corn, which is going to look like this out in the wild here. And this will spawn in plains, savanna, and badlands biomes. And here's how it looks after you get it and plant it. So you'll have to plant it into a tilled soil, farmland block there. And these are what you can kind of harvest from it here. You get the seed, the corn kernels, and the corn cob. And the way you would actually get the kernels is you just kind of craft them in your bench like so. Next we have wild oats. These are going to spawn in your meadow and taiga biomes. And to harvest you can just kind of break it and it acts as wheat. You will get your oat and your seed there. Next we have the wild barley. This is going to spawn in river, plains, savanna, and sunflower plains biomes. And here it is as a wild version, and this is how it's going to look after you cultivate it. And again, this is kind of what they'll look like when you harvest it here. And to harvest, you'll just break it with a left click, just like the oats as well. It will add wild carrots as well. Now these are going to spawn in plains, sunflower plains, swamp, meadow, river, forest, and taiga. And once you break it, it just becomes a regular carrot. But this is how they will look out in the wild. And then, yeah, once you break it and replant it, you'll just get your regular carrot. It will also add some wild potatoes. This is going to spawn in your plains, sunflower plains, swamp, meadow, river, forest, and taiga. And this is how it'll look right here with these nice little purple flowers. And once you break it, it'll just get you a potato, which after you plant it will turn back into the regular Minecraft potato. Next we have some wild flowers here. We have the wild ribwort. Now this doesn't have a cultivated version. It's only going to have just the wild ribwort, which you're going to use for your recipes that we'll get to in a moment here. This is going to spawn in forest, swamp, and mangrove swamp. And to harvest, you just break it with your hand, and that's how you're going to get this one. Now, for the wild emmer, this is going to spawn in plains, sunflower plains, river, and forest. However, if you just break it with your hand, you're going to get wheat. So make sure, if you want to actually get the wild emmer, you're going to have to use shears on it. But now if I put it back and if I just kind of break it with my hand, I get wheat. So if you actually want the wild emmer, make sure you use shears to harvest it. The wild nettle is going to spawn in forest, swamp, and mangrove swamp. And just like the wild ribwort there, you can just kind of punch it and you'll get it that way. We have wild beetroot, which is going to spawn in plains, sunflower plains, swamp, meadow, river, forest, and taiga. And this is how its wild variation is going to look right there. And once you break it, though, it will just give you the regular beets, just like so. Now here's one that's actually added by the mod. We have the wild lettuce. This is going to spawn in plains, sunflower plains, swamp, meadow, river, forest, and taiga. Here's how its wild version is going to look. And here is how it will look after you cultivate it. And again, here's the seeds and the crop textures. The next one added by this mod is going to be the wild onion. This is going to spawn in your plains, sunflower plains, swamp, meadow, river, forest, and taiga. And it's going to look kind of like your potato with the purple flowers there. But once you actually harvest it, you will get the onion. And this one actually doesn't have a seed. You'll just plant the whole onion bulb to cultivate these. Next we have wild tomatoes. These are going to spawn in plains, savanna, and badlands. And here's how its wild version is going to look. And then the cultivated version will actually get a little taller than the other ones. And you actually can get 3 different items. You can get the tomato seeds, the tomato, and there's a chance for a rotten tomato, which its really only purpose is just to kind of throw it. Next we'll have the wild strawberry. This is going to spawn in plains, meadow, river, sunflower plains, forest, taiga, savanna, and jungle. And here's how its wild version is going to look. And then here's how it'll look after you cultivate it. And these are its texture files right here as well. All right, and so that's the crops. Now, a few recipes you can make with just the raw vegetables are these little sacks, or bags, I guess is what they're going to classify them as. And so for the bag of lettuce, it's just 9 lettuce. Bag of tomatoes, 9 tomatoes. Bag of carrots, 9 carrots. Bag of potatoes, 9 potatoes. Bag of onions, 9 onions. Bag of beetroots, 9 beetroots. You kind of get the point here, where it's just 9 of these will make it into a sack. Well, this was one here. It's kind of neat. So the flour, you actually need some flour, which I'll show you how to make here in a minute. But you can also make a bag of flour from the little flour items here. So this one's a little different. Then we have the bales. You can make your own oat bale from 9 oats, and then you can make a barley bale from 9 barley. Next, on to crafting some of the functional blocks here. First, we'll start with our stove, which is going to be 5 bricks around a campfire, and then 3 iron ingots on top. And that's going to give you this right here, which you can interact with. And I'll demonstrate how to use this a little later on here when we get down to some of the cooking aspects. But basically, you're going to put your fuel in here, and you'll put your items up here, and then it will cook, and then you'll get your stuff out here. Next up, we have our crafting bowl, which is going to be made with 5 planks, an iron ingot, and a stick. And what you're going to do with this one is basically you'll just be putting your ingredients into the bowl, and then you have to right-click to stir them. And well, I was clicking, but you just kind of hold it as well. And I'll demonstrate how to do that a little bit better when we get to it. Next, we're going to have the mincer. And to craft this, you're going to need 4 iron nuggets, 2 planks, and then 3 iron ingots. And basically the way this will work is you're going to throw items in the top, and then you're just going to hold this right here. Let's see. I'm sorry, you don't throw them in the clock. You don't throw them in the top. You right-click on them to put them in there. And then after that, you can kind of just do that, where you hold your right-click. And when you do it with wheat, like I just did, that's actually how you're going to get your flour. Next, we're going to have our cooking pot, which is going to be 5 iron ingots and a wooden shovel for a spoon. This also has an interface right here, which we'll go through in a moment. In order to actually light it, you'll have to place it on the stove, like I showed you how to craft earlier. Next, we have our roaster, which is going to open up some other recipes for you. It has this near identical interface to the cooking pot. Actually, is it the same? It is the same. So it is the same interface. However, it's going to make different recipes for you. And to make this, you're going to need 5 iron ingots and then 3 iron nuggets on top. And don't worry, we'll go through the recipes for each of these in a moment as well. Next, we have the tool rack. And so you'll make this with 3 iron ingots and 3 sticks. And the way this works is basically just kind of like by right-clicking on it, you can place items as well as, you can place items. Mostly tools. You can't put like wheat or anything like that, but you can put items like that on there. Make sure you actually are clicking on the little tool rack itself and not the block behind it, because otherwise it won't work. But just to kind of show you some of the things that you can hang up right there. Next, we have a wooden silo, and you'll craft this with 9 planks. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, 9 planks. I was thinking I said slabs there for a minute. But no, 9 planks will get you the wooden silo. This is what you're going to use for drying. And the way these kind of work is just you can stack them on top of each other like that, and it'll kind of change how much it can hold. There's also a little door on the front right here, so this is how you will put your stuff into it. And to make the copper silo, what you'll need is just 8 copper ingots surrounding your wooden silo. And the only real difference that I've found between the two, besides the aesthetics, is just that the copper silo is maybe a little bit faster than the wooden one. So they're just kind of more or less for aesthetic purposes as far as I could tell in my testing. Next, we're going to have the feeding trough. And you'll make this with 4 iron ingots, and then a plank, a slab, a plank, a slab, and a plank in this shape right here. And what this is going to do is you can put the seeds in here to kind of fill it up. And A, it helps you get rid of some of your excess seeds. B, if you place this in a pen with animals, they can actually eat from it themselves and enter the breeding phase. Next, we're going to have the water sprinkler. This is going to be crafted with 2 iron ingots, and then 7 planks and a bucket of water. And this is actually going to help you keep your ground moisturized. the farmland that is. I will give this demonstration to kind of show how this works here, but it's basically so it'll keep your farmland watered while not having to put water blocks, as many water sources down. And next we'll have the pet bowl. This is going to be 2 sticks and a slab. We'll have a pitchfork, which is going to be an iron nugget and 2 sticks. And this particular item can also function as a weapon. It will use kind of the trident. I guess, what would you call it? The trident martial arts, the trident form. Basically, it can work as a trident. It also has a few other things that we can do with the ground and dirt blocks, which will be demonstrated here after I go through kind of these recipes and everything like that. So basically, I kind of broke down this into like kind of like the indoor and the outdoor stuff after the recipes here. So basically, I'll kind of be demonstrating the indoor stuff, which is I kind of classified as like the food recipes and such as that. And then there's these items, which are the outdoor ones. So we'll kind of go through it that way. And next we have the supply cart here. And this is going to be made with 2 iron ingots, a chest, and then 3 slabs and 2 planks. And we're going to have a plow, which is 2 planks and 2 iron ingots. We have a windowsill, which is flower pots for your windowsill. This is going to be made with 3 planks. 3 slabs and 2 flower pots. And next we have a chicken nest. And this is actually kind of handy. It can hold 2 eggs. And if you put it in next to chickens, the eggs will kind of just appear in the nest itself until you get to 2. And then after that, they'll kind of just start spawning around like regular chicken laying fashion. And this is made with 3 wheat, like so. Next, we have the chicken coop right here. And this is basically kind of like a little better version of the chicken nest. This is made with 3 iron ingots, 2 slabs, and a chicken nest inside. And what this does is basically kind of functions like it functions like the beehive, but for the chickens themselves. The chickens themselves will go inside, and they'll lay their eggs, and then all the eggs will kind of stay in there. And to harvest the eggs, you'll just right-click on it. This one doesn't have any eggs, so I can't get any out of it. But that's how this will work. Make sure you have chickens nearby, and they'll just kind of pop in and out like bees do with the bee hives. All right, next on to how the wooden silo kind of works here. And that might be a little bit of a jump cut. I haven't decided where I'll put this yet. So if it feels a little choppy or out of place or whatever, I apologize. But I kind of wing it in the editing process. So anyway, so how the silo works is it's going to have this nice little door right there. And so basically you can still put your stuff in there. And however many blocks tall is how many items it can hold. And so with this, like, see how it made that noise right there? It means it's done, but since I have the door closed, it didn't pop anything out. Now, once I open this, it's going to pop out a couple bone meal. And then you kind of just put the 2 back in there. And then this time, when they pop out of here, it will just pop straight out when it makes the noise here. Like that. So, that's just kind of how it works. And like I said, you can kind of make this as pretty much as tall as you want. And then however tall you make it is how much items you can store in it at one time. Remember, 1 block equals 1 item that can be stored. And a couple of the recipes here. So most of the stuff in here is going to make bone meal. And this will kind of change if you use the Let's Do Brewery mod. Then these will kind of get tweaked. So if you are using the Let's Do Brewery mod, do try and make sure you use the Let's Do Brewery Farm and Charm Compact. Because otherwise you kind of... It should work if you use the Legacy version, but the author stated that he or she, I'm not sure. But the author has stated that they focused more to try to get the Compact to work with this version of Let's Do Farm and Charm. So these recipes can kind of change if you use that mod. However, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Farm and Charm, so we'll go back to this. So basically, most of the items in the silo are going to give you bone meal. And the items you can put in there are going to be wild barley, beetroots, wild carrots, wild corn, wild emmer, wild lettuce, basically kind of like all your wild variations. are going to give you like the bone meal here. However, there are a couple here at the end. And so if you put pod soil in there, you can actually get fertilized soil. And if you put bone meal back into it, you can get fertilizer. And if you put rotten flesh in there, you can get fertilizer as well. And these will have a couple recipes as what you can do with these. Fertilized soil is basically kind of like the final product of the fertilizer right here. And I'll demonstrate how these work when I do the outdoor section. Alright, starting into kind of like working with the food recipes now. Next, I'm going to demonstrate the mincer here. And I kind of did demonstrate that a little bit earlier with how it kind of worked, went over in the recipe here. But here's the actual recipes you can make with it. So now if you put corn, oat, wheat, or barley and grind them up in there, it will give you flour. If you put dough in there, it's going to get you raw pasta. If you put raw beef, it's going to get you minced beef. Raw mutton is going to get you lamb ham. Raw chicken will get you chicken parts. And raw pork chop is going to get you bacon. Now, these aren't the only things you can put in the mincer. I don't have any wood here, but here, let me just kind of pull up. Oops. Delete that first. Type correctly. And now, as you can see, the mincing recipe actually has like 53 different things here. So you can kind of put in like your logs, and it's going to give you like stripped logs. And then you can kind of grind down some copper ore into this stuff. I personally would just, if you're going to do it this route, I would kind of go more with like a fortune pickaxe, but you have the option to do so. And yeah, so there's lots of things you can, like right there, you can kind of break down some of your diamond horse armor into diamonds. This is a nice one. Dripstone block can be broken down into pointed dripstone. But yeah, so another one here, you can kind of turn your horse armor into just leather, which is nice. And yeah, all kinds of stuff you can kind of break down with this. So you can also turn the rotten flesh into fertilizer just with this. If you need raw copper for anything, you can kind of grind up your copper ingot back into that. I'm sure there's iron variations with it as well. But yeah, so there's lots of different stuff you can do with the mincing. Moving on to the crafting bowl. I keep wanting to call it a mixing bowl, but a crafting bowl. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to put your items in there. So like for this first one right here, which is going to be your butter. It's just a bucket of milk. You'll just kind of right click on it, place it in there, and then you'll right click again to hold, and you'll get your butter. So we'll just kind of do that. To get it out, you just right click on it there. And as you can see, you get butter doing it like that. Now, if you put in yeast, water, and flour, you'll get dough. If you put in lettuce, tomato, strawberry, and onion, you'll get a farmer salad, which has the satiation effect. And basically what this effect is going to do is it kind of gives you... Oh, let me double check here. Hold on. Actually, I'll just go through all the effects here in a second here. I'm going to finish the recipes for the crafting bowl, and then I'll kind of move on to what the effects are. And next we have the oatmeal with strawberries, which is going to be a strawberry, milk bucket, and oat. You'll mix that all up, and that'll get you your oatmeal with strawberries and the farmer's blessing here. Mixing a bone, steak, and raw beef is going to get you dog food. And when you feed this dog food to a tamed wolf, it's going to boost attack speed, attack damage, and give it knockback resistance for 3 minutes. You can also take 9 of these and craft them into a dog food bag. This is just kind of an anesthetic thing. You can't feed it to your dog in this form. You'd have to break it back down into the 9 dog foods themselves. But it's a way to kind of mass store it. You can also make cat food. Cat food is going to be raw chicken, steak, raw cod, and raw pork chop. And that'll increases the chance of taming a wild cat as its effect. And again, you can kind of make it into a cat food bag with 9 of them. And so just to kind of do some demonstration with it now, I can do this. I can craft it back down to that. And you can actually put these in your pet bowl. And your pet should eat it. Come on. I tested it earlier. I know it can. Maybe if I let... Okay, so if I let them up to have them not sit. There we go. And so there you go. I just made it sit again, but if you left click it so that's not sitting and it can kind of free roam, it will go through and eat it. And as you saw little hearts enter, it'll put it in a breeding state. Same thing will work with the dog food in the pet bowl as well with the wolf. So that's just kind of how it works. And next, since we already, before I kind of go into the cooking pot section, I've kind of touched on some of the effects that the food will give. So I'll just kind of backtrack right here. And I'll kind of go through all those right now before continuing on. Okay, talking about some of the effects here. So I guess we can kind of start with the one I just have picked here, the feast. This here is going to be your combination of satiation and sustenance, and this is kind of like the formula they have and everything right here. So there's that. Farmer's Blessing, Farmer's Blessing is going to give you a thing where it'll remove any harmful effect from you. And so it lets you keep the good effects, which I have demonstrated there and or depending on how I edit it, you'll have either seen it or you're going to see it right after this section. Grandma's Blessing is going to be basically the same as the Farmer's Blessing, but it's going to also increase your luck modifier right here. Here's just kind of the satiation, gives you kind of a regenerative effect in the formulas that are used here. So if you want to read a little more thoroughly, you can kind of pause it. Then there's the sustenance, which kind of, gives you your heal amount based upon the food of your satiation bar. Basically, just kind of 2 ways that they use the satiation bar for different things here between the two. Both very similar, but because you do get health back when you eat and all that. So just 2 different formulas of how it does it, really. The sweets effect right here, this is going to increase your movement speed, your attack damage. This is the numbers and all that behind it right there. Just so you can kind of see the whole formula. I guess as long as I'm in here, we can do like the horse fodder, which is just going to increase your jump strength, your movement strength. Or, I'm sorry, movement speed, not movement strength. The chicken effect, this is that cluck thing, and basically it just kind of makes it drop feathers and eggs a lot more rapidly. Well, eggs more rapidly, and then it gives a chance for feathers as well. The dog food effect increases knockback resistance, attack damage, attack speed. And then the last one here is the rested effect. I could not figure out what this one really does. I can see it has some kind of effect on a mob. I thought it was phantoms. I tested it with phantoms. It didn't keep them away from me. They still attacked me when they spawned. I used to spawn eggs, so maybe just getting this effect will kind of reset your phantom tick timer so that they don't even spawn at all. If you do figure out what this is, please do comment down below. I'll probably pin it to the top so we can kind of see, but in my testing, I was not sure what it did, and yeah, this is all it has for the formula here, so it just, apparently it's beneficial. That's about all I got out of it. So, yeah, sorry I couldn't be more helpful with that one. Okay, I got some of my hunger down, so I can kind of show you what the Farmer's Blessing does here. And so I'll eat this. It gives me the Farmer's Blessing right here. Now if I throw this potion of weakness, doesn't give it to me. Now if I throw this potion of water breathing, I still get to keep the potion of water breathing. So the Farmer's Blessing makes it so you cannot have any negative effects on you while you have this active. Moving on to the cooking pot. So there's a couple of ways you can get it to work. You can put it on top of a campfire, which it will just give you this. It'll make its own little grate, if you will. Do I have a pickaxe? I don't have a pickaxe. Okay, I have a pickaxe now. And so the way it would kind of work, you just kind of break it like this. You'll get it back. And then to put it on there, you just right-click it. It'll put it on there. You can also put it on the stove itself. And this is how you get it to actually work. As you can see, though, if you put it on top of a furnace, it doesn't give you the little bubbly effect, so it will not cook anything on there. All right, I got a log here. And so just to kind of show you here, if we put this in like that, it still doesn't give you the effect, so the cooking pot will not work on the furnace, unfortunately. You have to use either the stove or a campfire. Now, onto some of the recipes. Yeast. So to make yeast in the cooking pot, you're going to need some sugar, some water, and some wheat. And then, see how we have the wooden bowl? You'll have to put a wooden bowl in this slot right here in order to actually claim your recipe effect. Or a recipe item, not effect, recipe item. But anyway, those three items will get you yeast, the barley soup is going to take 2 pieces of barley, the water bucket and egg, and the bowl. As you can kind of see here, I'll put little signs of what effects these items have right there. Next, corn grits. This is going to be 2 corn cobs and some flour and a bowl. Give you the satiation effect. Simple tomato soup. This is going to give you, you make this with 2 tomatoes and some sugar in a bowl. That's going to give you the recipe effect. Goulash. This is going to be made with an onion, a steak, simple tomato soup, a carrot, a potato. It's going to give you the satiation effect for 5 minutes. Onion soup. This is going to be made with a piece of bread, 2 onions, and a bowl in the pot. And it's going to give you the rest of the effect. Potato soup. Going to be a potato and an onion with a bowl. It's going to give you the rest of the effect. Oh, and we have some teas here. Also still in the cooking pot. So this is how you'll make these. So for the nettle tea, you're going to use a water bucket and 2 wild nettles. But you're, instead of the place of the bowl, you are going to use a glass bottle. And you can also place these on the ground here. And if I remember right, there's actually 2 different forms. Hold on. Yes, so there's the nettle tea, and then there's the nettle tea cup. All right. And so, yep. So basically, if you make this, it will make you 1 nettle tea, which you can kind of place. In order to get the cup, you just use a glass bottle on it, and it'll get you a cup of the nettle tea, which kind of makes it into a light snack. And if you break it, you'll get nothing. So I'm glad I have a spare. And basically, it is the effect has is just kind of like not really much difference for using the nettle tea cup versus the nettle tea. Is just this will actually give you some instant health. The cup, I think, is just, yeah, I guess I'm not really sure what you want to do with the cup. You can't even place the cup, but the whole thing you can place on the ground there. I guess it's more of a roleplay thing where if you just use your bottle on it while you have a friend at the table or something like that, you can each have a cup and make this last a little bit longer. Anyway, next we're going to have the ribwort tea, which is going to be a bucket of water, 2 wild ribworts, and then the glass bottle again. This will give you regeneration for 6 seconds. We have strawberry tea, which is going to be made with a water bucket, 2 strawberries, and a glass bottle. And this is going to give you the effect of haste for 12 seconds. And then that will be it for the cooking pot. We do have some here. Oh, we'll talk about those in a little bit because we haven't made a lot of those yet. All right, next we're going to talk about the recipes we can make with the stove. And so basically how it's going to work here is you're just going to put your items in right in here, and then it will just kind of cook, and you'll just be able to pull it out. You won't need a bowl or anything like these for these ones. So first up, we have the baked lamb ham. And so to make this one, you just take your lettuce and your lamb ham. You will put them in here, but you will also have to put some fuel in there. And then as you can see, it actually changed it, and kind of nice. You can actually see them kind of cooking in there too. And when they're done, I believe it should change. Yep. And so you can kind of see when your food is actually ready just by looking at it. And now we have the baked lamb ham in here. And there we go. Next we have farmer's bread. This is going to be some dough and some water. Bake that together. It's going to get you the farmer's bread with a farmer's blessing effect. Grandma's strawberry cake. You'll make this in the stove with dough, strawberry, and sugar. This is going to give you the grandma's blessing effect for 2 minutes. Pasta with onion soup. This is going to be made with 2 onions and some raw pasta. It's going to give you the satiation effect. Potato with roast meat. This is going to be made with a potato, raw beef, and a honey bottle. And it's going to give you the sustenance effect for 3 minutes. Roasted chicken. This is going to be made with raw pasta, chicken parts, and a carrot. And it's going to give you the satiation effect. Roasted corn, made with 2 corn cobs and some butter. It's going to give you the feast effect for 3 minutes. Next we have stuffed chicken. And this is going to be made with an onion, a raw chicken, and a carrot. It's going to give you the feast effect for 8 minutes. And can I just pull you off so we don't have to listen to that noise? There we go. Next we have stuffed rabbit. And this is going to be made with a onion, raw rabbit, and a carrot. It's going to give you the feast effect for 8 minutes. And those are the recipes for in the stove there. Next we're going to move on to the roaster, which I can put that back. Oh, you got to shift click to put that back. The roaster, however, can only be placed on the stove. It doesn't work on the campfire, at least in this version. But so how to make this, or how to make these items, these are going to make kind of your more bigger items, more intensive, I should say. Starting off, we'll have bacon with eggs. And so this is going to be made with 2 pieces of bacon, 2 eggs, some butter, and then you'll have to put the bowl in there. And so just to kind of show one recipe in action. Alright, make sure you put the recipe in there like so, because I just kind of demonstrated there with having the eggs stacked. Did not work. So, having that. Also kind of a neat thing too here. As you can see, this stove is not does not have any fuel, yet the roaster is still working. So as long as this is on top of a stove, you do not necessarily have to have fuel in said stove. Another thing too here is this arrow is filled up for a little bit. It fills up and it still takes a little bit longer. There we go. So even though the arrow is full, give it a little bit longer than you think it would be. The timing is just a little bit off, but it is still cooking. If you see the arrow filling up and you get to the end and it doesn't give you your item, keep waiting. It'll come. It's not quite there yet. But it gave us our bacon and eggs right here. So we have that. That's how we work with the roaster. Next is going to be a barley patty with potatoes. This is going to be 2 pieces of barley, a potato, some butter, an egg, and a piece of lettuce. And then the bowl. It's going to give you the satiation effect for 4 minutes. Next we have the beef patty with vegetables. This is going to be a raw beef, a carrot, some butter, potato, beetroot, and lettuce. With the bowl, it's going to give you the sustenance effect for 4 minutes. Next we have chicken wrapped in bacon with noodles. And so this is going to be made with bacon, chicken parts, raw pasta, butter, and a bowl. It's going to give you the sustenance effect for 5 minutes. Next, we have cooked cod. This is going to be made with a carrot, a piece of lettuce, some raw cod, some butter with a bowl. It's going to give you the sustenance effect for 4 minutes. Next we have cooked salmon. This is going to be made with some corn, lettuce, raw salmon, and butter with a bowl. It's going to give you the satiation effect for 4 minutes. Lamb with corn is our next one. This is going to be made with a carrot, corn, lamb, ham, and butter with a bowl. It's going to give you the satiation effect for 3 minutes. Next we have oat pancakes. This is going to be 3 pieces of oat, some dough, some butter, and a strawberry with a bowl, and it will give you the oat pancakes with the satiation effect. Next, sausage with oat patty. This is going to be a piece of oat, some butter, a potato, a carrot, minced, and 2 pieces of minced beef, and a bowl. It's going to give you the sweets effect. All right, and now there's 3 other recipes that you make in your crafting table. The first one is going to be the farmer's breakfast. You're going to use a piece of bread, the bacon and eggs, and the roasted corn. That's going to give you the farmer's blessing for a full 8 minutes. We have the chicken feed, and this is going to be made with 2 pieces of wheat, 2 carrots, and 2 wheat seeds. And this is going to give you the cluck effect. So basically when you feed it to a chicken, it's just going to passively drop feathers for 30 seconds. So if you wanted to get some feathers out of your chickens without having to butcher them, you could use this, and you could use that to make your arrows for your adventures without having to constantly breed and reduce your chicken population. Next we have horse fodder. This can be made with 2 pieces of wheat, 2 apples, a carrot, and a piece of wheat. Make sure you put them in your crafting table like this. And what this is going to do, it's going to boost the horse's speed and jump strength for 5 minutes. Alright, so that was pretty much all the inside stuff, or the stuff I considered inside. Next we're going to go to the outside stuff. First, as you can kind of see the sprinkler right here. Now this is what it does, is it kind of waters your farmland up to 8 blocks away from your water sprinkler here. So it'll give you 8 blocks diagonally, and then 8 blocks, vertically and horizontally. Next we have the cart here, and so we'll place this down. What you can do is you can kind of right click it, and it will give you the supply cart right there. However, if you shift click it, you can actually attach it to yourself, and you can kind of pull it where you'd like. So now it's over here with me, and yeah. And then to get off of it, shift right click again, and now it's back to being a wandering chest. Basically it's a chest with a boat that you can use on land. Next we have the plow. It's going to function very similar to the supply cart. However, when you right click on it, it's going to attach to you like so, but it'll till the ground as you drag it. So much faster than hoeing. And to get off of it again, just shift right click, and it'll leave it where it is. Now here's a demonstration of the nest and the chicken coop. So as you can kind of see there, we got some nests that have filled up, and they just placed, like I said, the whole 2 eggs there, and you can kind of just interact with them like that. You can also place them in there yourself. Oops. If you want for more of an anesthetic, please. And then to get your eggs out of the coop, you just right click it, and you'll get 9 out of there when it's full. Next I have the feeding trough that I was talking about right here. And so basically you can put just about any seed in there, and then you can put the potato and the carrot. So you have the corn, the potato, the torch flower, strawberry seeds, carrot, tomato seeds, beetroot seeds, barley seeds, wheat seeds, oat seeds, and lettuce seeds. And so as I was saying earlier, what this does, you can just kind of place them in there, you fill it up, and then you will, well, if the sheep will cooperate, they'll eat out of it, and then they'll breed. We'll do a little cut. Okay, I don't have to cut. And there we go, we have a little baby sheep, and as you can see, the level of the feeding trough has gone down because they used some of it. Alright, and I believe lastly here, provided I haven't missed anything, if I do I'll tack it onto the end here, we have the fertilized soil. And basically what we're going to do with this, for how we're going to make it, I guess, is you'll need to get your fertilizer, which we crafted with the mincer, or drying being the rotten flesh or the other means that I'd shown. And so there's a couple things we can make. We can make the compost with just 4 pieces like that, or we can make the fertilized soil block itself. And so just to kind of show here, you can actually hoe it as well. And I left all of my seeds over there. 1 second. Okay, so I'm back. I got my seeds, and you can kind of plant them in there. It'll speed up your grow time with them by using the fertilized farmland. Now the other thing you can kind of do is if you take your pitchfork and use your pitchfork on it, it will make a lot of stuff grow here. And you can kind of just keep doing that until it's gone. And it's a great way to just, if you're looking for like flowers and such like that, or you just need a bunch of grass for some wheat seeds, whichever you want to do, it helps you kind of grow your fields for your, maybe you want your cattle and whatnot in there. But, and then just to let you know, once you get to the fertilized farmland part, you can't right click on it anymore, so you have to kind of break it and turn it back into that, and now you can do that again. Yeah, as you can kind of see, just me standing here demonstrating that, the beetroot seeds have already grown in the fertilized farmland like so. Then with the compost, pretty much it's going to work very similar to the fertilized soil and the pitchfork method. However, when you just place it, it just kind of does that. But yeah, so those are the last few items right there. Alright, so the last few things, or last 2 things really, that I haven't talked about yet. It's going to be the Scarecrow. Excuse me. It's going to be the Scarecrow and the Dungarees. And so the way you get the Scarecrow is you have to complete all the advancements. So if I pull up the advancements here, go here. You know, you'll finish all of this stuff right here, and upon all the completions, I'm sorry, I guess you have to do the Master Chef Manifest. I had the wrong achievement here. So basically you craft every available Farm and Charm dish, and you will get your Scarecrow. Alright, it'll give you a Scarecrow into your inventory. If your inventory is full, it'll kind of pop out onto the ground there. And if you want to make more Scarecrows, basically what you do is you take said Scarecrow, and then you will put 3 sticks around it and a barley bale, and it'll craft your 1 Scarecrow into 2 Scarecrows. Now the Dungarees. In order to get the Dungarees, you have to take them off of your Scarecrow. And then you can kind of see the face changes right there. Gives a little embarrassed look. But then you can take these and you can equip them to yourself. And when worn, it will prevent farmland trampling, and it will also show the feeding level of animals. So if you saw, like when I was looking at the sheep, they kind of had those wheat above their head. This is what was giving that effect. And if you want to just put them back on, you just right click again and you put them back on. But that is how you get the Dungarees. You don't craft them like that. You have to craft more Scarecrows, and then you have to pull them off the Scarecrow. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. That is the Farm and Charm mod. And at the time of recording, this is the last Let's Do mod for this series. So exciting times ahead. I get to pick a new mod to kind of go into. It might be another series. It might be a one-off. I don't know. I have lots of suggestions from comments, so I'll kind of go through those first and see what people have really looked for. If there's one in particular you want to kind of help sway my judgment of which to do next, you can comment it down below. And then always look and see. However, if I see lots of people going for one mod, or if I see one comment with lots of likes, I'll probably pick that one. So that's kind of how I'll go. It's kind of like, I'll let you guys give the feedback of which one and where I should go next. I have a couple of my own that no one suggested, but I think are needed. And yeah, so thank you so much again for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Oh, I almost forgot to. So, if you are interested, I still do run the Minecraft server. It is a cobble mod and create server. And if you're interested in that, there's no cost or anything like that. Just no cheating, no griefing. Those are pretty much my rules. You can let me know, and I could basically what I would need from you is I would need your in-game name, because I do the whitelist system, so people just can't show up, cause mayhem, and then just dip. You actually kind of have to communicate with me first. I do have a Discord that you can kind of run. It's not necessarily mandatory for you to be in the Discord to join the server if you don't want to, but just know that's where I'll post like my updates on the server of like, oh, it's going to be down for a little bit because I'm going to update some mods or stuff like that. So don't have to join the Discord, but if you want updates on what's happening in the server, that's where I'm posting them. But otherwise, if you're interested, you can just comment down below, and then, I'll get in touch with you. Like I said, I would need your in-game name and such. And then, primary, my method of communication would just be through Discord, so you might have to give me your Discord name. I guess I could do it through Twitter, too. You could message me on TurbulentTy there. Let me know how you'd want me to communicate with you, I guess. We'll go with that. And you can do that first initial kind of start with the comments down below. All right, that's what I have. Thank you again so much for watching. You have a great day.